With the February 6th mainnet launch, Berachain has only been live for about 10 weeks now. But that being said, in that short time, it's already the number 7 chain in terms of TVL in all DeFi, that's total value locked. Their TVL is already over $2.5 billion. That's a lot of money moving to the chain very, very quickly. And then also one of its top ecosystem players has its TGE, its token generation event that's coming up any day now. What I'm talking about here is a top money-making platform that really ought to be on your radar if it's not already, and that is Dolomite. Welcome to the channel. My name is Matty and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest. I genuinely wish you very well. As long as we all remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor, not officially, right? And that means by extension, this video is also not official financial or investment advice. So let's talk about Dolomite here at a top level. I mentioned a moment ago in the introduction that it's a money market platform. It's already got almost $1 billion in TVL, and that's so far without its own token, which is an important variable, of course, to consider. They've got a unique virtual liquidity model, and that means that you can lend your assets while still retaining important rights from your ownership of the token. These are rights, for example, like voting rights, but also yield, even staking rewards. They all stay with you while you earn from lending. And Dolomite has a pretty fitting name for this. They call it dynamic collateral. Dolomite is the third largest protocol by TVL on Berachain. It's also 11th in TVL of all lending platforms. And aside from Berachain, we have Arbitrum, Mantle, XLayer, and Polygon ZK EVM. Those are the 5 chains where Dolomite operates. And as with most of the successful projects in DeFi and most protocols on Berachain, Dolomite is about multi-chain activity and cross-chain convenience. Because if we think about the future, that's what we all envision as being important, right? In terms of the way projects operate. Here we're looking at some of the borrow and lend rates on Dolomite. We have some pretty impressive returns for Berachain here, but the token is clearly in demand for the platform. A couple of wrapped Bitcoin products, including EBTC and Lombard's LBTC, are both here as well, but at the very low interest rates that you'd expect from Bitcoin-related collateral, right? This list is full of stable coins and wrapped coins from all kinds of various chains. I should mention that many of the users here, as well as some of the users on partner chains, are in fact eligible for an airdrop. This is where you can check to get more information on that, more on who is eligible in just a minute though. But for the time being, here's something now for the degens. Looped strategies or leveraged trading strategies take advantage of both lending and borrowing on the platform. So here you can see things like if the yield is maximizing or there are risk reductions like going delta neutral. That's where you can make money regardless of price direction, whether things go up or down. And that's a good strategy in a crazy market under volatile market conditions, if you know what you're doing at least. And one of the more interesting and probably conservative plays here is a looped USDE plan using Athena's USDE. You can borrow, you can lend, and you can loop it around a few times and earn a 14% APR, which is pretty sweet, again, in the context of a delta neutral strategy. Its zaps are its aggregation feature to minimize the number of transactions and costs to you when you use the platform. This here shows you how the zaps work and how Dolomite uses them to create these looped, again, or leveraged strategies. On the borrow page, you can borrow pretty inexpensively, including, for example, USDC at 4.96%. So that's a popular option. And the fact is that if you're in need of a loan, chances are you can find something to do with the USDC that certainly makes up for that 4.96% fee. Like I said, next week, the TGE, the token generation event, is going to take place for Dolomite's DOLO token. That's DOLO. There's going to be a 1 billion total supply, and a respectable 36% of all tokens are going to be released at the TGE, including a 20% airdrop. And all of this is on Berachain. So simple math here, looking at the numbers, that means 200 million tokens. So that's a big one. That's significant. Berachain's proof of liquidity consensus system separates your real liquidity from the tokens that you use to pay for gas. And projects seem to love this so far. More than 50% of the token's total supply is set aside for the community. This is always something that we love to see. When you can observe numbers like this, it's very good. It shows that the project cares about its people and it's not just lip service. You can also expect some tier 1 exchanges to have listings on day 1 too. If you need to trade it, you need to buy more, whatever the case may be, but you can expect to see those listings. And users of some of Dolomite's great partner projects, such as GMX, Pendle, Harvest, and others too, are eligible for airdrops. They're going to receive DOLO, again DOLO, and VDOLO for their efforts. To summarize here, and in total, there will be 3 tokens. There's DOLO, like I mentioned, that's the native token. VEDOLO, that's VEDOLO. This is the voting and governance token, which is time locked. And these 2 tokens are what most of the airdrop recipients will get. You get to take part in a revenue share too once approved by governance vote. And then finally, there's ODOLO, ODOLO, which is a liquidity incentive token. After all, a lending platform and a chain whose consensus is called proof of liquidity both probably consider liquidity to be pretty important. And so the aligning of different incentives here is actually a pretty important part of what this token really does. Really, and as you can probably see, we've only just scratched the surface here of all the things Dolomite is about. With RWA, real-world assets, getting so much hype, it's probably easy to forget that DeFi generally is on a comeback of its own. It's kind of taken a back seat, but it's still having this resurgence and doing well. And Dolomite works with projects in both sectors, including exposure to US Treasury bills through RWA projects and extensive DeFi money market activity. And as I highlighted earlier with the numbers here, we've seen a very auspicious start to this project. It's really sprinted out of the gate very quickly to become a top 10 lender with a lot of potential and a lot of promise. It is clear to see that Dolomite is doing a lot of the right things. So keep an eye out for the TGE, the token generation event. It's coming any day now.